5, the village of Cottage Grove is inching closer to breaking ground on the Amazon warehouse project right off of I-94 there. The village board approving the development agreement at a meeting this week. NBC 15's Mackenzie Davis spoke with some of the people involved with the project who say it's been more than a decade in the making.
Very exciting.
The latest step toward building the over 3 million square foot Amazon warehouse and distribution facility in Cottage Grove. The village board approving its development agreement with the e-commerce giant on Monday.
So it's about a 145-acre site that Amazon owns.
Off of I-94 at the intersection of Highway N and Double T.
It's a perfect spot.
Those involved with the planning now over a decade never imagined Amazon would fill this empty space.
I think it's a home run.
Joe Wagner, CEO of Greywolf Partners, purchased this land back in 2017, specifically to build an industrial park, hoping to bring a number of businesses to the area over the next 15 years. And then Amazon came along and purchased the land. Not only is the spot deemed perfect for something as large as an Amazon warehouse, but the village of Cottage Grove Administrator Matt Giese says it will largely benefit the village and Dane County economically.
A development of this scope is really a once-in-a-generation or even once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a municipality. Most cities and villages will never even see a development of this scale.
Giese says this project is so large scale, it's not only bringing 1,500 jobs to the warehouse, but will increase the village of Cottage Grove's tax base by 20%. Giese adds the village is positioned to be one of the fastest growing municipalities in the state, and that trend will continue for the next decade plus, from property value to population. In Cottage Grove, Mackenzie Davis, NBC 15 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. The project is expected to break ground sometime this year, which is earlier than anticipated. Construction will take about 2 years and will bring an estimated 300 jobs to the area.